Hello, my friends, and welcome back to Meerkat Musings. I am your host, Ben, and I am coming at you on yet another bright and sunny morning here in the UK. We are certainly having a hot one by our usual standards, and I realise our usual standards are not necessarily the same as elsewhere in the world, where it does indeed get hotter, but it certainly feels like the summers here in the UK are, broadly speaking, getting warmer and warmer. And while this isn't the thrust of this video, I most certainly believe that human beings are playing a pivotal role in climate change. And I think that's one of the reasons why we are seeing warmer and warmer summers around the world, and certainly without question here in the UK. The mercury has been routinely upwards of 30 degrees and, pushing sort of the mid-30s, which 20 years ago would have been deemed extraordinarily unusual. Yes, we've had the odd spike here and there, but usually here in the UK, we would go to, say, the south coast of France or the south coast of Spain or to a Mediterranean island if we wanted to experience this kind of heat. Now, we don't have to go anywhere, technically speaking, but that should also be a cause for concern. People will still, to this day, deny that climate change is a thing. I say simply, open your eyes and look at your own experiences and see the change for yourself, because the change is everywhere. And the cost of that change, well, aside from the obvious that it will be bad, we still can't entirely quantify it. So, we're facing a murky future, if you ask me. But anyway, I'm going off on one. Once I get started, I sometimes don't stop, as you may have gathered. So, anyway, this is kind of a Meerkat Muse, sort of. We're kind of mid-cycle with my regular muses over on my website, and I'm covering off a bunch of stuff over the span of the past few weeks, and just basically doing my video blogging. Recently, my wife and I have been to see the band Train in concert. That's one of the big highlights of the past few weeks for me. She actually had a very busy time of things. She went to see Linkin Park on the Saturday, and on the Monday, me and her went to see Train. So, for her in particular, a lot of running around, a lot of here, there, and everywhere. So that was a thing that happened. Train was really, really good, but unfortunately, because of engineering works on the line, we had to leave earlier than I would have liked to make sure we got the last train home. And that proved to be something of a palaver, because that train, because of some kind of signalling or track issue, had to then reverse, go onto a branch line to a different line, and then carry on the journey. So it became convoluted and faffy. It was really warm, and UK trains, because they haven't historically needed it, don't have air conditioning. So by the time we got home around about 1:30, and eventually sort of into bed about 2, my wife and I were absolutely cream crackered, to put it mildly. There began a week off work for me, albeit I took over the duties of doing the school runs. So it was a week off work with more running around than I perhaps would have originally anticipated, but hey-ho, it gave my wife a breather, and so be it. And then it was back into the fray, of course, back into work, and kind of reminded almost straight away as to how much I would like a different job. I'm just finding a lot of things are grating on my nerves where I am now, and I'm actively pursuing a few different options. I have put out a few applications of late. Whether or not these things are entirely in keeping with what I want to do, I'm not 100% certain, but they have intrigued me for a couple of reasons. And I've seen a few roles now which offer the opportunity to work from home, which I know in the eyes of some is very much a mixed blessing, but in the eyes of others, it's very much a remarkable opportunity. And there is evidence that it actually improves productivity. There is evidence that people tend to sort of actually work better, in some jobs at least, from home. Of course, in my current role, I cannot work from home. I work in a showroom that designs and sells important home furnishings. There's no chance of doing that job from home. I have to go to work. But and it's not far. Don't get me wrong, it's 10 minutes down the road. So it's not like I have a long journey. It's not like I've got a long commute. But it's also, aside from some issues with job satisfaction, it's where I work now. It's a very early start. 8 o'clock in the morning. I know it's not early by some standards, but you consider that most retail places will open at 9. We're opening at 8 every day. We're open right through till 5:30 every day as well. Weekends are obviously the exception, but nonetheless, during the week, you're there from 8 till 5:30. Sometimes you don't see another soul all day, which can be disheartening. It can be boring, and you don't derive much enjoyment from that kind of situation. And so the whole thing is just, as I say, it's grating on my nerves. So I've been looking around. Some working from home options have come up. And I'm not going to lie, that does kind of intrigue me. I'm not completely certain where I could park myself in the house to work from home, although I'm sure arrangements could be made. The roles are like kind of still actually sales-based, believe it or not, but they involve phones and Zoom and stuff like that. And, well, from what I can understand, the roles work because they wouldn't offer them if they didn't work. So I've looked at a couple of these, a couple of others as well. There is one place that I am keeping a very close watch on. There is one place that I have kind of deemed to be my personal nirvana, shall we say, of potential jobs, but they are not currently hiring. But I am checking this place out on an almost daily basis to see if they have any vacancies. And the moment that a vacancy comes up, as long as it's full-time, of course, I will be jumping on that. Now, applying doesn't mean I'm going to get the job, obviously, but I will certainly do everything in my power to land this particular role if it comes up. All I can do in the meantime is plug away where I am now, but my heart just isn't in it, to be honest. I mean, that's the bottom line. I've just grown to feel just a bit worn down by a few factors, and I just I don't want to be there. It's as simple as that. What I'd love to do is devote my full-time attention to being an author. That's obviously not likely. It's not going to pay the bills anytime soon, but that would be the ultimate dream. And on that subject, I've now done over 36,000 words on part 3 of the Ton If saga. So what's shaping up to be the final instalment, although I'm not 100% settled on that. I'm probably 90% sure it's going to be the last one. It's coming along nicely. I at one point wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. Now I have a slightly clearer picture in my head. I'm gearing up to do something that might have a fair bit of shock value behind it, although I haven't fully resolved on that score, it must be said. And I'm just ploughing away with that. I'm working on something with my brother-in-law as well, which is currently in the process of, I'm going through the first draft, tweaking things in accordance to what my publisher has advised me to do in the past. So I'm trying to sort of make little changes and modifications along those lines. And I'm just, going through it and just trying to get these things out there and get them more publicity, basically, as well. So, of course, it's about doing some of the marketing stuff. To that end, recently kind of made a new arrangement with the publisher around things like that, marketing, promotion, that kind of thing. Naturally, what I have to do is prioritise the day job. I have to prioritise my responsibilities to my wife and daughter. That has to be the primary focus. So if there is a clash of interest between my writing stuff and my primary responsibilities will always win. And I think that's probably fair to say from most of us, isn't it? I think we'd all prioritise our families ahead of that kind of thing through prioritising our day jobs. If my day job was writing books, it wouldn't matter. But there aren't many people who are in a position where they can say their day job, is their writing job, and their writing job pays all their bills. I'm not in that position, so I've got to pick a different focus, as it were. So that's kind of where I'm at in a sort of personal sort of nutshell, as it were. I have been recently getting into a number of, shall we say, passionate debates online. I don't know if I call them passionate, but certainly some pointed political debates recently on the subject of wealth, equality, equity, greed, and that kind of thing. I would basically sort of suggest that you check out the Thinking Cat series on Meerkat Musings for a more precise picture of where I stand. But suffice to say, those of you who know me will know I don't take a particularly great view of rampant, unchecked greed. I think that when people are hoarding more wealth than they can possibly know what to do with, while other people are going hungry on the streets, there is something painfully flawed with our society. And it kind of staggered me. One person on Twitter was saying we should be thankful to those who are rich and wealthy for what they put into the economy. And, yes, some of them do put things into the economy. They put some money into the system. But a lot of them don't. And a lot of them don't do nearly enough. Yes, those who earn more get taxed more. Yes, they do. And you know what? Yeah, you seem to get taxed. I was having this conversation with a friend. You seem to get taxed at every single point of your life, which, sometimes can feel like a grind. But by the same token, those who have all that money can easily afford to pick up more of the slack, rather than cutting the benefits of people who are poor and struggling. And we've seen this happen in both the UK and the USA recently with policies that are planned. Rather than do that, in order to aid tax breaks for those who don't need it, such as the billionaires and the millionaires, why not do it the other way around? To end homelessness in the UK, or at the very least to take a serious bite out of it, would cost approximately £1.6 billion. That is a drop in the ocean compared to the accumulated wealth of the top 10 UK richest people. Any one of them could actually cover that cost themselves and still have, and still be a multi-billionaire. In the USA, it would cost $20 billion. The top richest people have something like, it's like 1.1 trillion or something like that. So again, it's a drop in the ocean for them. If there was a one-off tax to raise that fund to remove homelessness, that would be a major step towards easing other problems associated with homelessness. But there's no profit in that, is there? So, of course, there's no will to do that. And the politicians on both sides of the Atlantic are not interested in something along those lines. Why would they be? A lot of them don't live in the real world. A lot of them never have lived in the real world. I mean, people talk about how these guys have earned a lot of their wealth to a point, perhaps, but some of them have simply bounced into the position of CEO or of something, and a lot of that wealth that they've earned has actually been earned by the people working very hard underneath them, who don't see anything remotely like a fair share of the reward. I mean, Amazon's obviously a prime example here. there are some people working for Amazon who are working a damn sight harder than Jeff Bezos is, but they earn considerably less. And they're the ones that are actually propping up his empire. And isn't that the way it always goes? So, and I'm not saying, because, I've heard this before, people have said to me, you're envious of those who are rich. One person even said I was bigoted against them, which is a very strange line to take. I don't have any problem with people earning money. I really don't. I'm trying to sell books to earn more money for myself. So, I want to have more money for myself, and I'm trying to earn it. What I don't think is particularly right or fair is when people are able to hoard unfathomable sums of wealth while other people are starving or going bankrupt from medical bills. I don't think that is a just and fair society. And the thing that really gets me is the people who are defending the practice of greed. In a lot of cases, they are supposedly deeply devout conservative Christians. They are supposed to be, in favour of helping the needy, aren't they? They're supposed to be kind of sympathetic to those who are less well off. But you don't see that. You don't see any actual love on their part in this kind of field. And it's very, very, very sad set of circumstances when you've got these supposed followers of Christ passionately defending the rights of people to hoard money at the expense of people who are living on the streets, or to receive tax breaks at the expense of those who are disabled and unable to work. I just don't understand that kind of mindset from people who claim to be good, pious Christians. But that's just me. Maybe I'm missing something. Perhaps there's a line in the Bible that talks about how it's, right and fair for people to hoard. The thing is, look at it this way. One of the things that this looks like to me, and it's an interesting approach here, these people, these Christians who argue this, are basically arguing for a form of social Darwinism. They're arguing for survival of the fittest, which is deeply ironic considering their core beliefs about Darwin and that kind of thing and evolution. They're basically sort of saying, it's up to you to survive. They argue taxation is unfair. Perhaps in some ways taxation is unfair. But they also, have no problem with taxation paying for the things that they like, such as the military, for example, and border control. So there's a lot of hypocrisy there. It's like, taxes are unfair. We want to expand this department by billions upon billions of pounds. Oh, yeah, go for it, because I like that department. Who's going to pay for that? Taxes. Oh, that's interesting. I thought you didn't like taxes that much. Oh, look, it turns out you like it when it's something you agree with. So, I'm getting very political here, aren't I? Certain things rile the blood, shall we say. This being one of them, of course. Without boring you too much, I'm going to stop now and crack on with my morning, crack on with a bit more writing, basically, and try to get to a place where, with a bit of luck, I will be ready to move part 3 on to the publisher. And then we'll go from there. We'll see what I can do to do a bit of marketing, a bit of promotional work. And you might see some of that pop up on my YouTube feed. You never know. And perhaps elsewhere, of course. But until then, take care, everyone. Love to you all.